Hi, I'm Andy Ellis. I'm the host of this show and a potential Green Party candidate for governor of Maryland in 2026. I'm using this show to highlight interesting people and ideas that help me and you to understand what is happening and what is possible. You can learn more about the campaign by going to gogreen2026.com. Guests on this show do not necessarily support my campaign or the Green Party. They've agreed to come on to discuss ideas and issues. And of course, click the subscribe button on YouTube so you can keep up to date with this podcast.
You mentioned earlier that there are parts of the state working and parts that may not be working. What do you see, Andy, as the three major challenges that we as Marylanders face?
Yeah, so I think the first one is the economy, economic mobility, and the cost of living. And I think this is a macro issue and a micro issue. We're facing a several $billion deficit coming up in the next couple of years, and we're going to need to solve that problem. At the same time, cost of living is very high here in Maryland, and that's fine if you can afford it. But if you can't afford it, it's very easy for people to fall behind very quickly. And I think that limits social mobility, that limits people's ability to move from one class location to another, and to really be able to enjoy the benefits of the state of Maryland. So our economy, I think, is at a macro level and a micro level a major challenge facing the state of Maryland. We've got to solve it. We've got to figure out new solutions, and we can't keep doing the same thing. The second thing I would say is energy and the environment. Maryland is really going to have a hard time meeting the energy needs of a thriving suburban and urban population like we have right now, because we're a small state. So there's not a lot of place to put windmills. There's not a lot of place to put solar farms. And as we move forward with it, we're also not building new coal plants. We're not building new fossil fuel plants. So we're going to have to figure out these challenges about energy. And this is especially true as the state's data and technology economy gets more data intensive, builds more AI and things like that. There's going to be a lot of demand on energy, and we simply don't have the ability here in Maryland to easily meet that. The second part of that is the environment. With all of the waterfront land that we have and all the coastal land that we have, a lot of our communities are any storm away from a massive flood or from rising sea levels or things like that. And I think that's going to incredibly cost more and more money as we go forward over time to make those communities resilient and to help them recover when natural disasters do happen. So I think those two things, energy and the environment, pose a real challenge to Maryland, and we're going to need new kind of thinking and new kind of solutions to get out of it. The last one that I would highlight here is criminal justice and the legacy of mass incarceration. So not just when Martin O'Malley was governor, not just when Martin O'Malley was mayor, but certainly when he was, Maryland went through a period where they locked up a lot of people for a lot of charges that other states would consider pretty small. We have some of the highest Black incarceration rates in the nation, and we have one of the highest Black populations in the nation. So we have a whole chunk of our population that is dealing with the effects of mass incarceration. And that has effects not just on individuals, but on communities, on cities, on towns, and things like that. And so we need to figure out how to deal with that legacy. We need to figure out how to get as many of the people who were in for charges that they could be let out on out. And we need to figure out how to repair the communities and the people who've been damaged by that legacy. So I think these three things, economy and energy and the environment and criminal justice, pose real challenges to Maryland right now.